The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM.
Catch a creative vibe on the Urban Cube with Sister Shamiza.
Good morning and Assalamu Alaikum. It is 10 o'clock, Monday, 22nd of April, and it's Bank Holiday Monday across the nation this morning. How has your Bank Holiday weekend been so far, folks? I hope you're having a restful break. I sure did. My goodness, it really does feel like summer. Finally, it's arrived, and I hope it does stay. The weekend has been glorious, really bright and fresh. Really wonderful. Do tell me what you're getting up to this morning. Are you travelling anywhere special? Have you got anything planned? Would love to find out how you're keeping yourself and the little ones entertained this morning. It is the Easter break, nearly over. A lot of children will be going back to school tomorrow. So I hope you're all enjoying your time off. Now, I'm at work. But can I call it work? No, it's not work, really. I'm in the studio this morning on Inspire FM. This is the Urban Cube with me, Shamiza, taking it all the way up to 12 o'clock this morning. We are repeating the show at 8 p.m, as you can catch the conversation and the action on Facebook Live this morning. We have 3 guests that are going to be joining me. At the moment, it's just the one. I'm joined by Mohammed Hatiq, known as Teekster. You'll know his voice. He's been a regular on the show, most often on a bank holiday. He always comes. It does seem like that. How are you this morning, Teekster?
It's always been bank holiday.
It is. It's always. It does seem to be a bank holiday when you come down.
Oh, wow. I like to keep things consistent. That's
how we're going to keep them on the show this morning. The gentleman in the studio with me this morning is a very remarkable multi-award winning artist who's been described as a Muslim artist who's a mirror for Islamic heritage. MashaAllah. Now, he is a multi-award winning artist whose work has not just been recognised locally, nationally and internationally, but his efforts as a mentor and role model have been recognised by the UK Prime Minister in 2014. And he received the Alhambra Award for Excellence in Arts, which recognises the best of Muslim contributions to British society. Now, his work is a fusion of a variety of different artistic disciplinaries, mostly digital art, but we'll find out a little bit more about how he would describe the art himself. But he has been noted for offering a refreshing new take on Islamic art in the 21st century. Assalamu alaikum, Teekster.
Walaikum salam. That was quite impressive.
That wasn't it?
Now I'm going to burn it all down by saying something really stupid now, aren't
I? We will allow you in a moment, but I just want to keep the professionalism going.
Oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah, it is 3 minutes past 10. It is Monday morning, and I'm joined by not one, not two, but 3 fantastic guests in the studio who have just arrived, and they are going to be keeping you guys entertained and me as well this morning, all the way up to 12 o'clock. It is the Urban Cube, folks. You can join in with any of the conversations that we're going to be having. They're quite quirky, they're quite light-hearted, and hopefully very inspiring as well, because we're going to be talking about trending stories, we're going to be talking fashion, art, and food. And on the note of food, I cannot have a show without our local foodie and celebrity chef. It's no other than Shanaz Ayub. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
How are you, my dear?
I am late and I have no excuse.
You are allowed to be late. The reason why is because you are a mum on the run who's working.
No, they were all asleep. I was tucking into my hot cross buns.
I'm more disappointed that she didn't bring anything for us.
I know. It's always that, isn't it? You didn't bring art, she didn't bring food.
I fly by the night, honestly. Fly by the seat of my pants, literally. And I was tucking into my hot cross buns. I turn around for 1 second and the cat has gobbled them. So I had to make myself another batch. Not fresh ones. These are Mark's.
That's a cat with an appetite.
The cat has just had her breakfast. She has this incredible enthusiasm to eat her weight every meal.
Now, I understand your cat had a bit of an anxiety. It was having anxiety because you guys went away on a bit of a break.
The cat was traumatised. Yes, it's a lovely cat. She's a pure breed. She's a British Shorthair. She belongs to my daughter Zara, and she is a very expert because she's pure breed. She's quite a pricey cat, so we have to really watch her. And my husband gave her. We had roast chicken.
And you're feeding her.
Well, we have to give her
Buns?
proper food. We have to give her 3 times a day, but her food. And my husband had given her the other day, we were eating roast chicken, and he said, let me give her some. So he mashed it up, gave it to her, unbeknown to him that there was a little bone in there. Ooh. And she started choking, and all he could see were the pound signs going down the toilet. Because we were so petrified that this cat was going to die. But I have given her a bit of tandoori chicken in the past.
Okay.
It didn't go down well. Don't feed your British Shorthairs tandoori chicken.
Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Right, folks, I hope this actually gives you lots of confidence in our chef this morning. She's celebrity chef Shanaz Ayub, who is a published author of a fantastic cookbook, and that cooking book is called?
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Perfectly easy Indian food.
Perfectly easy Indian food. And you're going to be giving us some great recipe bites this morning, inshallah, because Ramadan is just a couple
around
of weeks
the corner.
Around the corner, a week or 2 weeks away. It's 2 weeks away. And we will be getting some interesting information from you on how to kind of be nutritional, have your diet that's quite nutritional and enable you to have the energy to get through the day. And it's going to be a long day because it is going to be quite a long fast, as we're quite used to that now. We're quite used to that. We've had them quite long for a number of years now, but inshallah we'll be finding out from you. Now, you're not the only lady in the studio. We're also joined by another lovely guest who's been a guest on the show in the past, and I'm absolutely delighted to invite Arusa Raza into the studio this morning. Assalamu alaikum, Arusa.
Assalamu alaikum. Sorry I was late as well.
It's okay. It doesn't matter.
I want to hear her excuse. I bet it couldn't top mine.
I do also want to mention Shanaz is a solicitor as well. So, yeah, just get your story straight.
Make sure it's all on track. No, yes, sorry I was late, but thank you so much for having me on the show again.
But it's awesome having you. No need to apologise, and it's an absolute pleasure. And thank you for giving up your bank holiday Monday to be here with me this morning. I mean, what would you have done?
I'm very excited to be here.
What would you have done instead?
Probably what I usually do in my spare time, which is a bit of Netflix, a lot of eating.
Sounds like fun. Hatik, what about you this morning? If you weren't on the show, what would you have been doing?
I would have been listening to this show.
Good answer.
Good answer.
See, I would have been doing that after my Netflix show ended.
On the repeat. That's a good cue.
Yeah, exactly.
On the repeat, 8 p.m. this evening, the Urban Cube at Inspire FM. But you can catch it on Facebook Live this morning. We're also iTunes, Spotify, and we're going across Peterborough and Sheffield this morning. So massive big assalamu alaikum to all our listeners, and good morning on Link FM Sheffield and Salam Radio Peterborough. Now, folks, wherever you're listening in from, we'd like to know where that is. So in order to do that, would love to hear from you via WhatsApp on 07779481822. Now, today is, believe it or not, Mother Earth Day. It's actual Earth Day today, celebrating our love for nature and the environment. And so this is celebrated across the world. And I think, from what I recall, in the past, people did turned off their lights at a certain time in order to save electricity, and this was a united thing globally to do that. So I thought, and I did participate. I did, believe it or not, and it was quite fun looking at the stars, but it was quite foggy and dark, and there was not much. And I really wanted to see the stars, but I didn't get much of a sight then. But yeah, I'm babbling on, aren't I? Maybe I need a jelly bean. I mean, it's National Jelly Bean Day today as well, people. Favourite jelly bean, guys?
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter. Sounds good. You don't feed the cat that, do you?
She hasn't had the opportunity, but given it, she would hog them all down.
What about yourself?
I would have to agree, peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
Jelly bean?
Yeah.
Oh, any of them really.
Any of them. There's no excuses. Just go for any of them.
Yeah.
They're all great, aren't they?
There's this new weird one where it's like kind of like weird flavours like poop and leaf and grass. That I'd avoid, but most jelly beans are quite nice.
Poo flavoured jelly bean?
I'm not making this up.
What do you compare that to?
I don't know.
This tastes really like the real thing.
Can I just say something? People, do not try this at home. It is a mad one this morning. We will get back to the faith-inspired creativity on this show, but do not try that at home. But leaf and what was the other one? Grass.
Oh, grass.
Try it. It's Earth Day today, people. Try it. You've got permission to do
I'm
that.
not making up these flavours.
No, you're not. You're not, are you? He says. Right, you're not. I need to Google now. It's also, folks, National Picnic Day tomorrow, not today. And you know what? It should have been today with everybody being off. Have you guys? When's the last time you guys been on a picnic? Do you still do picnics?
We love picnics. Picnics was what we grew up on, actually.
Oh, yes.
As a community, we'd all go to Bexhill, which in London, and bring the tiffins. So then, that's the only way to picnic. Have everything on a huge blanket with a huge group of people.
And a tiffin.
Lovely. Everyone brought their own braute, everything.
Ooh,
It was
nice.
really, really lovely in those days. And now it's become a little bit more civilised.
Civilised? What do you mean?
No more
Plastic
difference, that's for sure. It's all in a hamper and it's all very
It's a Western
contained, the way it should be. Salads. It's all boring
very
now.
al fresco and very glorious. But it's okay to have a salad or two and a sandwich. What's your favourite ultimate sandwich, guys? I'm really putting you on the spot. It is all about food on this show. We've got to talk about food with Shanaz in the studio, who didn't bring any for us, but that's fine. Fed a cat the breakfast of hot cross buns. Hey, catch that conversation earlier on in the show, folks. It's just, went over my head, but that's fine. Okie doke. Arisa, favourite sandwich?
This might sound like a bit of a weird one, but I remember when I was little, my mum I was about 3 or 4, and my mum made egg sandwiches, and she put them on the table, and I kept sneaking up and having them, and then running away, and then by the end of it, I finished all the egg sandwiches, like before anyone else had them, so I think I'd have to go with egg sandwiches.
Egg sandwiches,
yeah.
so
I've got a track
they're
record.
your food sandwich goal.
Yeah.
What about you, Teekster? This is going to be interesting.
I've got a couple. If I'm making it, then I do like a nice chicken kind of mayo, kind of like salad one. But then I do like a tuna niswa salad as well. Sandwich.
All right. So tell us, explain that a little bit more.
Tuna niswa. Okay, basic tuna niswa is based on a French type of salad, which is normally tuna, egg. That would be your favourite. Kind of like olives and onions and stuff. And normally it's a salad, but you basically get that recipe and just shove it between 2 slices of bread.
Just slap it in.
Yeah,
as you do.
As you do.
As you do. Shanaz, yours.
That sounds good.
It does sound good, doesn't it? It's very.
Who's the chef now?
I know. It's a bit competition
He missed
here.
out the anchovies, I have to say.
You want to get it right. You've got to get it right. Yeah. So is the anchovies that makes the niswa? Is it called?
I
niswa?
like it with anchovy and parmesan.
Oh,
that's
quite an intense flavour.
Almost.
Yeah, no, very nice. But that sounded good.
But normally it's just with like a French dressing kind of like scenario. Although the Parmesan cheese is new to me. Normally it's like spring beans. But anyway, that's a different conversation altogether.
It makes your egg sandwich sound a bit flat.
I know. Mine's more to do with sentimental reasons.
I like it with a bit of love.
Exactly, a bit of a backstory.
And it was her mama's cooking, so it had to be good.
Can we send a shout out to your mum this morning?
Yeah, I don't think she's listening today.
But it's okay.
Yeah,
it's
she's
okay.
in Pakistan, so that's why.
she?
Yeah, that's why. Yeah.
Oh,
Otherwise, you know my mum. She would be on there. She'd be calling in.
She's absolutely fabulous, and I do want to send out lots of love from the Urban Cube over to your mum in Pakistan. And I'm noticing a lot of people are out there at the moment. My feed is just full of the most glorious pictures of Pakistan. It seems to be the destination, it seems, for tourism at the moment. A real celebration of Pakistan culture and heritage. And Lahore seems to be the spot to visit. Have you ever been to Teekster? Have you been to Pakistan?
Yes.
Have you travelled all
Unfortunately, I
over?
haven't. It's normally when I end up in Pakistan, it's like a relative fest, and you end up just going to, which is amazing in itself. You visit all your relatives and stuff, but you want to escape and really check out some of the scenery. But you get trapped indoors, and I wish next time if I do go there, I really want to go do some major sightseeing.
And
I know that's a bit of a downer, but hey.
No, that's not a downer. I think there's so much to see in Pakistan, the culture, the heritage, the history, and I think that's what's been celebrated a lot more so now, which I think is great for the country. Larissa, have you ever been?
Yes, I have. Yes, went a few years ago.
And did you get to tour around the country? Or?
Kind of more like the local areas, and we ate in a lot of places. That's like a running theme in our family. We like the first thing we do when we go out is where should we eat? So that's like the number one question. So we went to lots of like nice food places, shopping. So yeah, that was kind of the main thing. Yeah.
And it's all about the food, isn't it? And Shanaz, you know all about that. I mean, you are somebody that...
Pakistan is the place to go for the food. It's amazing. I have never tasted food like I have out there.
Really?
Beautiful.
Wow. Now, you've travelled around the world and you've just come back from Greece on a beautiful trip out there, but you have eaten in some remarkable places across the world.
Whenever we go anywhere, I mean, I wouldn't say I've travelled the world. It's
more than me.
We've gone to a few places, but people look out for the touristy places.
Yes.
I check out the food destinations. So my whole itinerary is based on that, and it's always interesting. I mean, Pakistan was. I remember when my father-in-law used to live in Islamabad. There was a guy that used to sell kebabs on a stall, just literally a few blocks down, and I wanted to take him home with me. That food, I've never tasted food like that. And I remember actually on the ultimate day that we were there, I must have gone and bought his whole stall out, brought it back to eat, and then all the relatives descended on us to say goodbye. And I just needed to see the back of them so that I could eat this food while it was hot, because I wasn't going to share it. But, Pakistan is just a beautiful country. And I have to say, I mean, I'm an Indian, so inviting, so lovely. The people were embracing. They were the best hosts, and a beautiful country full of love and scenery. The scenery is gorgeous. We went to Murray and Lahore, and
Murray's very nice.
Murray is beautiful.
And this is what I'm noticing on all my feeds. It's the colours out there so bright and so vivid because it's just so fresh. It's the perfect weather.
Well, I think
and everything is green.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a real future destination.
Definitely, it's definitely on my list to go abroad. I mean, I've been to parts of Pakistan. I'd really like to go to Lahore. I've never visited there, so that's definitely on my list. Folks, if you're listening, and this is not a travel show, it is the Urban Cube. You're listening to myself, Shamiza. I'm taking all the way to 12 o'clock. We are joined by no other than Shanaz Ayub, Arusa Raza, and the artist Teekster in the studio this morning. They're going to be talking to us about some of their upcoming events, projects, and things that they're involved in. Now, if you'd like to join in with any of the conversation this morning, it is a little bit chaotic, a bit manic, but that's great because it's Monday and this is what we like to do and hear. 07779481822. Now, we have been talking about travelling, and with travel means you need to have a bit of a budget, take a bit of money with you, and there seems to be a lot of people who are actually kind of giving up their day jobs and using the opportunity to kind of go out and just travel and make that experience a little bit more real. And lots of parents, I'm noticing, are kind of taking that opportunity to do so as well. I've just been really, really inspired by parents who've decided to homeschool their children, but also use that as an opportunity to take them around the world, to educate them as well, to learn about life skills, but out of the classroom. Shanaz, you're a mother of 3 absolutely awesome children, and as a mother, working professional mother, traveling with your children, what is it that you hope they gain from that?
Well, anywhere you go, regardless of whether it's with your children or not, it's to embrace the culture in different countries. You go as a tourist, but I'll give you an example, actually. As you said, we were just in Greece. We went to Santorini, and it was full of various tourists from various countries, but predominantly from China and particularly from America. And it was sad to see that they weren't really embracing the culture that was going on there and wanted to make it their own almost. And so to accommodate them, particularly in Santorini, which was what I was quite surprised about, everything is written in Chinese as well.
Oh, wow.
I was quite surprised.
So they
should
must
call it
get-
Santa China.
Santa China. That's
And it was-
remarkable. That must be because they do get a lot of tourists from China then. They must be.
It was difficult to see which country you were in. Because there was, and it's lovely, it's beautiful that everyone is seeing different parts of the world. But I think that when you go to another country, you definitely have to embrace the culture and all sides of that community. You have to see the poverty-stricken areas, as well as, the more touristy areas, which are more commercial. Last year we went to Sri Lanka, and it was lovely. The scenery is beautiful. Everything's lovely. But it was really important to go and see the other side of life there. And we visited a couple of the girls' orphanages, which was... It was mind-blowing, and it was the girls are used to, the children, my two daughters and my son are probably used to seeing this because it's what I exposed to them. It's important to go and see, as I always say, the dark side of life, because it makes you humble as a person.
And it balances.
It balances you, and that's important. So we went and spent quite a lot of time in these places, actually, and... they were just so lovely, though. Their outlook on life is so different, and they're actually in a very enviable position because they're a group of girls that are growing up together as a family, and they all keep in touch with each other. That's their own little community that they all grow up in. And so instead of having one or two siblings that most of us have, they have 15, 16, up to 20, and they stay in touch with one another forever. And that's actually more... I just looked at them and thought, you might not have your mum and dad, but look at what you've got instead of that, which was beautiful to see. Very happy girls.
You mentioned Sri Lanka, and unfortunately at the weekend we heard the devastating, horrific news of the bombings that had happened there, and... heartfelt prayers and thoughts with the lives lost and the families who've been impacted by this, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant them the highest place in Jannat Firdaus, and our condolences as a studio and everybody from Inspire FM, inshallah, going out to the lives lost. It was just horrific.
And they are the nicest, most humble people you will ever meet. They go out of their way for you. They are so kind, so humble. And that was very, very sad to see yesterday. It shouldn't happen anywhere.
Place of worship.
Well, it seems to be the target, doesn't it? And it's very, very sad to have seen that in any culture, in any religion, to experience
and in any place,
devastation.
Be that in a place of worship or just out of there, in any place. When's this going to stop?
Well, it's sad because it's still a developing country, and the efforts that have been made by the government to make that place the way it is, and then for something like that to happen, is awful. Yes.
And I hope they gain the support and attention to develop the country as has Notre Dame, the church.
Well, that will be interesting to see.
As an artist teacher, the fire in the church of Notre Dame. It was awful to see it burning, but the outpour and attention was really quite something on. Social media, but what was really quite interesting was the amount of billionaires that had come and put money forward to rebuild the monastery.
It's kind of like a confusing situation. I understand that's a international heritage site. Notre Dame's world famous, but on the back, so I understand that people want to rebuild it, but I'm like, if those guys can do that in less than 24 hours, was it just to show off, or is it just personal interest? How come they're not doing it with other heritage sites, other situation? Where were them, about 24 hours ago? I didn't hear any of them say, yep, Sri Lanka, I'll help you. Is it just, I'll be interested in their personal motivation behind it. Yes, some of them are French, so maybe that's because that's their own personal site they want to
Okay.
invest in, rather than people when you have an alien society which you're not familiar with, you're a bit more hesitant. But it proves that people have the ability to help others. It's up to them to choose if they want to help or not.
So it's a selected choice, really. What meets what is more important to them. It's their choice, it's their money. They can choose to spend it where they wish to. We'll be catching up with more of the current trending news stories around the world, and also finding out who actually built Stonehenge. You're going to be quite surprised with that answer. I want to ask you guys quickly, who do you think actually built Stonehenge?
It wasn't our builder, because he's nowhere near finished what he was supposed to have done about 6 months ago.
Pass.
Go on, Teagues.
Alien society.
An alien society. Back to that again, possibly. Folks, you are listening to The Urban Q. We're having some intriguing conversations with my awesome guests in the studio. You can join in with any of the conversations that you wish to on 07779481822. We are heading to a break. After the break, I'm going to ask you, could a cashless society work for you? That's our topic of conversation. Could a cashless society work for you? It's really going back to the old days when everything was all about cash in your pocket. So join me straight after this. From me, Assalamu alaikum.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Catch a creative vibe on the Urban Cube with Sister Shamiza.
Good morning and assalamu alaikum. It is 10:30, Monday, 22nd of April. You're listening to the Urban Q with me, Shamiza, taking it all the way up to 12 o'clock. And it's Bank Holiday Monday. Wow, how has your weekend been, folks? I hope you've had a gloriously productive weekend and you're still continuing to have a restful break because it's Monday and it means a lot of you are off work. So are the children as well. I've had the pleasure of being in great company this morning, and you can actually catch them on Facebook. I believe we have viewers all the way in Pakistan this morning observing us, or observing my awesome guest Arusa Raza in the studio. She's actually been told from Pakistan to sit up straight, smile more, and do her hair. Shafina, if you're listening, my dear, thank you so very much for tuning in this morning and getting the whole family to watch Arusa. It's an absolute pleasure. Do keep the conversation going with us on Facebook. We would love to find out what you're all up to. I mean, what's the weather like there this morning? And what you guys had for breakfast? And I'm assuming it's now lunchtime. Is it 5 hours there ahead?
So yeah, my mum landed a few hours.
Oh, bless! She landed a few hours ago.
A few hours ago, yeah. I got a call at 3 a.m, which was like, I'm here. And then I was like, and I got another call at 7 a.m. And I was like, that's how I know the time difference.
That's awesome. Now, in the studio with me this morning, I am joined by multi-award-winning artist Teagues, sharing his upcoming projects, which is actually one project is based in Luton, which I'm super, super excited to hear about. We're going to be getting some pre-Ramadan food bites with celebrity chef and TV presenter of the popular cooking series For the Love of Food. And she's going to be talking to us about healthy eating for Ramadan, some great recipe suggestions, and the upcoming WCW event focusing on mental health. That is Shanaz Ayub. And we're also joined by the very, very delightful Arusa Raza. Now, she's a politics graduate who's passionate about women's rights and enjoys reading and writing, as well as her interest in examining pop culture and representation in the media. She has had her poetry published, and she is working in the charity sector too, as well as in higher education. Firstly, guys, I want to say a massive big assalamu alaikum to you, starting off with Shanaz. Assalamu alaikum, Shanaz.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Have we woken up, my dear?
Yes. Can I also say assalamu alaikum to my WCW women who are listening in? Shazia Afzal, who was here last week. I
She
think.
was.
Yeah.
A massive big salam to Shazia Afzal.
Shazia, I heard what you said about me last week.
I'm glad you heard what she said about you, because many people couldn't hear, unfortunately. For some reason, the technical glitch meant that the audio wasn't feeding out. But we've got the podcast on that show page, which has been very well received. So thank you, Shazia, and thank you, Lobia, for joining us from WC Women Connecting Women,
yes.
which we're going to be talking to Shanaz later on about what that means and the upcoming event. Arusa, you have a fan club that's local and international, and all the way from Pakistan this
Yes.
morning, which is awesome to hear about. Now, you're somebody that's really passionate about women's issues as well, so I'm sure you're going to be quite interested and intrigued to hear about what Shanaz is
Definitely, yes.
involved in. You're a published poet as well as somebody working in the higher education sector too.
Yes.
How are you balancing life with your creativity and charity work and the education sector?
I like to keep busy, so it keeps me occupied. And yeah, I'm always someone that I've always had many different interests, and I'm passionate about many different things. So yeah, I like to keep my time occupied. So yeah, it's a good way to do that.
It sure is. And somebody else who's always on the go with spray cans and paintbrushes and community activism is no other than Teekster, an award-winning artist who's in the only brother in the studio, but that should not be a problem because mashallah is able to kind of he's very engaged in all the conversations we've had this morning. Are you somebody that's all about in female empowerment through your creativity, Teekster? Have I just thrown one at you?
Nah, I'm all right. I mean, I'm just surrounded by women. I mean, if I say anything, anti-feminism or something, I'm sure we'll get beaten up.
Switch the mic off.
It might go down. I think it's kind of a strange kind of like thing. The kind of like sometimes when you hear about the female movement, because there's different levels to it. I mean, to be honest, in our Islamic culture, it was almost promoted. Like you have Fatima, who started her own university and stuff, and I think it's not till like the Western, how would you say, takeover of our kind of like lands and stuff. Oh, this is going to sound right. They kind of like kind of reduce the status of women, and then they carried that kind of like mentality up to today. So it's like a lot of females, they can actually do stuff, but then due to whatever reason, they're kind of like, in the past, thought they can't achieve as much, and now they've given, they've got their own voice now. They're doing things that they like. To me, I think that's pretty incredible, amazing, and very forward thinking. But in a weird way, it's almost not.
Okay.
It's like, yeah, this should be happening. Why is it so amazing? I mean, yes, sometimes you have peer pressures from families and stuff, but this should be the norm. But what do I know?
No, but you've raised a very interesting point there. That historically, Muslim women and women of colour have always been quite dominant in the work world.
Like Khadija was like
of course,
really good business woman.
The most tremendous businesswoman of her time, mashallah, and the most wonderful example to women all over the world historically. But yet, it's taken a long time for people to kind of maybe be aware of that or acknowledge that. I did at a later stage in my life when I started reading more. And knowledge is where you gain so many answers, and education is so predominantly fixed in our faith that you should read and learn. But Arusa, you're nodding your head, so you're obviously supporting this conversation. No, you didn't. No, but you raised some very interesting points, so thank you for that, Teekster. So, Arusa, your thoughts on that and about female empowerment in education, in the sense that that we have always had this power, this voice, but why is it coming through now more predominantly?
I think it's a lot to do with systematic change that's happening as well. So I think people having conversations, women feeling more empowered, but I think also women having that platform as well to kind of start those conversations and speak for themselves, as opposed to having others speak on their behalf. Because a lot of times people can have good intentions, but perhaps they don't always put the message forward as well as someone that is actually going through that situation could. So I think it is a lot to do with sort of a systematic change happening as well, and people kind of, as you said, reading more. I think there's more awareness as well that's currently taking place. But I also think that there is still kind of a really long way to go. So I think there's been improvements. There's been, a lot of focus on education, female empowerment, but I think there is also a long way to go in terms of just making women more aware that you do have this power and you do have this support in place, and there is a support system as well there for you. So I think it's about just making women aware of the power that they have and the support that they have should they wish to speak up and should they wish to kind of exercise that power.
And that power is something that Shanaz is very much part of at the moment with Women Connecting Women. Is a charity that is enabling women, not just locally but nationally as well, to come together from all different platforms to celebrate the achievements of women and kind of engage the next generation of what they can achieve.
Well, this is an organisation that we started. It was the brainchild, actually, of a guy, Azad, who is one of the managers of Crescent Hall. It's a venue in Luton. And because of him and his contacts, a lot of us got together, a lot of us, as we say, like-minded women, and we're of all different professions. And I've just met some really inspiring people. We've all got our heads together. We've all decided that we want to give back to this community. Arusa, you would be so welcome to be part of this group of members that we have, because you can actually provide so much inspiration, so much information, so much support.
And insight.
And it's not just within our Luton community, it's for everyone. And it's not just for Asian women, it's for everybody. Because through my line of work, I'm a child protection lawyer. I see different sections of our society and how we're all affected by one common theme, and it seems to be mental health. Because mental health is what's getting these people into this situation, which makes them end up in court where their children have been neglected or abused in some way, and it's a terrible thing to see. But Women Connecting Women have a motto, and we say that our mission is to support women embrace their power, value and purpose in life. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to be a professional, you have to be educated, you have to be anything. You can be anyone, but a lot of women want to be not just anyone, they want to be someone, but they don't know where to go or what to seek. And this organisation enables them to go out there and find what they're looking for. So every month or so we set up seminars, and the wonderful thing is that these are free seminars, and it's in Crescent Hall, so it's done really beautifully. You feel like you're going somewhere special, and it's ladies only. So you can let your hair down. We have stalls there as well for anyone that wants to advertise their business. It's a minimal payment, but you have the opportunity of advertising your stall there. We've got a holistic one, beauty. We have a couple of food ones as well. So it gives people a good opportunity there. But more importantly, we have professionals that come along and talk about their business, their profession, and where people can go. So the one that we've got on the 3rd of May, starting from 6 o'clock in Crescent Hall, is focusing on mental health. Because when we had our soft launch a month or so ago, we asked the people that had attended, and it was a massive attendance for the soft launch, which we didn't particularly advertise wildly, but we ended up getting such a fantastic response. And we did a survey, and what women were coming up with was that they wanted seminars on depression, anxiety and stress. And that just says it all, doesn't it? They don't want to know about makeup tips and, how to do a dip dye and, how to thread or whatever. They want to know about what's affecting them. And that really told us something. And we want to be able to point them in the right direction, know for them that there is help available for them. We all suffer with a degree of mental health. Whatever anyone says, every single human being isn't perfect. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm somewhere on the spectrum. but it's
You're feeding your cat some strange things. But you have raised a very, very important point. Mental health impacts everybody. Nobody's kind of exempt from it. But it's knowing how to deal with it if it impacts and overwhelms you.
And the problem that I have is that because of the work that I do, and more, child protection cases are involving, I know I haven't said we're specifically for the Asian community, but I do see a lot more Asian cases that are coming through the door where this neglect is not drug and alcohol fueled. This is neglect as a result of the mother who is the caregiver for these children and who is suffering from mental health because of what's going on at home. And anything she's going through is, of course, going to impact on the children. Our tone decides the tone of the household. It dictates the tone of the household. If I'm in a bad mood, that whole house is in a bad mood. And I suspect that's the same for every household. So it's really important for women to feel good about themselves, because if we feel good about themselves, that is what's going to pour down, to our children and make them feel more positive about themselves, because their behaviour is acted out in schools where it's noticed and then brought to the attention of services.
You've raised some very, very valuable and interesting points. Thank you for that, Shanaz. Teekster, you're listening in. You're somebody that actually works in the arts and creative industry as a successful award-winning artist who's not just worked locally but has been recognised internationally as well. You're actually working with young children. We've talked about how mental health impacts the whole household, and it actually is now filtering more and more down, trickling down to children more so. It's really quite sad to see the number of surveys or number of research and reports now talking about how young these children are that have been impacted by mental health. What I'm wanting to put forward to you, Teekster, is mental health an area that you kind of work around through art?
I think especially now it's kind of funny because a lot of people are actually talking how art is actually quite a good thing for therapy, and there's art-based learning and stuff. And funny thing is that Islamic culture promoted that. I mean, for example, the old school masjids, which were built back in the Ottoman days, they knew the importance of sound. So the entire acoustics in masjid was kind of like created so to echo the voices and nidan, and they knew that would have a soothing effect. Unlike these new speakers they shove in these buildings with the echo effect and stuff. But they knew the importance of colours and sound, and and the importance of the actual mental benefits that it could cause us. And especially now when in the UK government arts council and whatnot, where the funding is greatly reduced and arts is actually being pulled from curriculum, and they think it's more of a luxury, but then now they realise the importance of it, especially if you're from a poor background or from a diverse area. There's not much for a person in those kind of situations to have a creative outlet. So then I use run workshops and other sessions with the children to give them a kind of creative session to have an outlet for herself. Plus at the same time, with some of the minorities, I use the arts to actually connect with their heritage as well, because I think sometimes when you read the media and stuff and they're like, okay, I'm part of this terrorist religion, it doesn't do anything. But when you say, actually no, if you look at your heritage and see what they've done in the past, I mean, I can't really it's kind of funny because when our the first generation came here, the only primary thing they came was to work and get money and support the family back home. They had no time for arts, they had no time for luxuries. It was just work, which is understandable because, as the role model, as the fatherhood, you're just trying to worry about your family. But I'm assuming they've heard about the NHS that kicked in and, simple luxuries like that. So then they end up staying raising families here. So there's also an element of, with some of the younger guys, there's also this identity crisis, is where do I belong? So using this kind of art classes and workshops, there was almost a kind of connection to their parents, and actually, they could be proud of something, of creating something which is also not only visually stunning and mentally soothing, but it's also a connection to their artistic past that I like to reinforce with the children.
And this artistic past that you're helping to reinforce with the children in Bury Park, I understand, in
Yes.
Luton, you're doing a workshop. So tell us a little bit about this workshop.
Oh, okay, so this is in partnership with Revolution Arts. So we're working together to basically create a mini mural with the children. So there's actually a conversation where we're actually going to put this finished mural in a public space in Luton Town Centre. Don't quote me on that, but that's where it's going. So I'm kind of like engaging with these children, and it's cool. When I was talking to some of the participants who are helping me organise the event, they're kind of like concerned that sometimes art is actually seen as an elitist thing, and actually something which is outside their realm. They think, it's just for museums. It's not for us. It's for people who've lots of money. And then I have to disagree with that. I say, art is not a luxury, especially in the Islamic culture. It's a necessity, and it's a necessity to surround you with beauty, and that's really important. And why do I say that's important? Because rather than living in a concrete jungle, the whole reason behind Islamic art is actually of a constant reminder of the, of basically Allah, and you're revived by His superiority. So the beauty is a constant reminder, also because of visuals kind of like zikr. So it's funny now when we've taken all down these beautiful Islamic art and put like posters of whatnot on, I don't know, Justin Bieber, who knows, right? And there's people losing that identity, kind of like connection. They're losing it. So my kind of like objective is actually to encourage art even in the home place or workshop or something, so there's that connection and understanding that that visual kind of like constant visual zikr, so you're reminded of the the Almighty at the end of the day. And the problem is, I think nowadays is that I think some of the Muslims in the Western society, or just Muslims, we're suffering from this inferiority complex. Like our stuff isn't good enough. We're almost ashamed to show our Islamic heritage in the arts. I don't know why that is, because you go to like some, in old Morocco, Egypt. Oh, we should, forget about that country.
What? Don't forget about that country. What are you trying to say quickly?
No, because some people are trying to sometimes in the Middle East, rather than building buildings or architecture with like Islamic heritage, they're trying to like clone the West, and they're kind of like ideals on what kind
artistic
of
aesthetics.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's just concrete jungles. They're forgetting their roots. They're kind of like the building stuff, because we were like, our culture was like the forefront of creativity, and now all of a sudden we're not good enough. And I find that quite appalling.
And interesting, you mentioned about heritage and this crossover. There, it has. What's fascinating is something that I've been reading up about is the fact that Stonehenge. I did ask this question, guys. Stonehenge, and the question before the break was, which group of people were responsible for building Stonehenge? Okay, there is actually a Muslim connection here, believe it or not, guys. Arisa, did you come up with anything? Are you actually Googling, young lady?
I'm messaging my mum. I'm definitely.
Oh yeah, I'm going to be messaging my mum.
Right, everybody message your mothers to find out what the answer is. Shanaz, I'm going to let you have a go. Take a guess.
I have no idea. I mean, no. Come on, Natty, you're the artist.
Whoa. I'm an artist, not a history expert.
Hey, history, art, you've just been giving us some Islamic history. So,
you know what, I have to say, while everyone is Googling, going back to what you were saying, Teekster, about Islamic art. I mean, it is the most beautiful art. I mean, I have it plastered all over my home because it's, apart from anything else, it gives such a warm feeling to the house. To see, it's very soothing. It's very therapeutic. The curves, the colours, everything are just so gorgeous. And then, apart from anything else, the message that it gives within the calligraphy itself is beautiful. So you're constantly reminded of that, and that's a really peaceful thing. But one thing I have to say is that I remember where there was that time when a lot of the prominent designers were using Islamic calligraphy.
Oh yeah, like William Morris and...
That's right. Within their designs. And then I think because, it was Islamic, that they were told that they couldn't obviously have it on a model that was wearing little to nothing, and that was right. But I think there is a real appreciation for our art because it is so incredibly beautiful, and it is noticed. But I think you're right. I think it needs to be brought more in the forefront of what's going on. And I know that whenever I'm Googling for art to buy, it's quite difficult to find stuff that is affordable apart from anything else.
I think there are pieces that are affordable, but I think as an artist yourself, you must come up with this wall all the time that you're not being valued for your creativity, and I think a lot of Muslim artists struggle with that.
Funny you should say about that, because well, I had a conversation with a close friend of mine. It's like some people are willing to spend about £10,000 on some Gucci gear, which is made in China. Yet nobody's willing to spend £100 on a personalised hand piece of calligraphy, which is mental. And it's like people don't appreciate or they don't see value in that. Even though they see a name in the brand or something, they think that's more valuable than a particular skill. So I don't know if that's just fan or brandalism.
Brandalism, I like that word. But you do raise a very, very interesting point. And Arusa, I'm coming back to you, my dear.
Yes.
What did your mum text you all the way from Pakistan? What's she saying? Has she kind of given you any support on answering this question?
No, unfortunately she hasn't. So I will pass this question.
But would you like to reflect on anything that's been said today about sort of heritage and Islamic art and female empowerment? There's lots of conversations that have been had in the room today, and I do feel that somebody of your calibre, especially who's passionate about empowering women and activism, is this something that you are working on or working towards?
Yeah, so I've definitely been trying to kind of read more about women in history whose kind of achievements have been erased. So one of the women that I came across, she was in ancient Egypt. She was a pharaoh. She was one of the most successful leaders they ever had. She won wars, brought a lot of wealth into the country, but eventually her reign was erased. Knowledge of her existence was erased. Her name was taken out of the country. Monuments were destroyed that she had built, and this was due to the kind of power dynamics at the time of her being a woman and challenging the kind of perceptions of women in power at the time. So I think it's definitely about reading and finding out more about these figures in history that perhaps we're not that aware of or we learn of in school.
And I think that's the thing, isn't it? A lot of history has been erased, or can I use the term whitewashed? And there are lots of universities that are actually now looking at their syllabuses and actually looking at focusing more on the true version of history and these individuals that have made a difference. Now, we're heading off to the break. We're still going to be talking to everybody this morning about cashless society. Could it work for you? And as Teeksta was talking about brands and Gucci's and bags, I'm actually going to show them an image of one. And we're going to be talking about what this bag is worth. But it's a bucket bag. So then we're going to be talking about this bucket bag straight after this.
Assalamu alaikum, this is Atif Nawaz and you're listening to an Inspire FM podcast.
Catch a creative vibe on the Urban Cube with Sister Shamaisa.
Good morning and assalamu alaikum. 11 o'clock exactly, Monday 22nd of April, and you're listening to me, Shamaisa, taking you all the way up to 12 o'clock on where else? It's the Urban Cube. 12 o'clock is when we will be wrapping up on the show. It's already 11 o'clock, guys. One more hour left and so much to talk about. It's gone by very, very quickly, the first hour or so, and we're still in the studio with three awesome guests who've given up their bank holiday morning to be with me. Thank you so very much, Shanaz. Shanaz Ayub is our local celebrity chef who's really making her mark in the world of culinary delights on an award. Well, it's not an award winning yet, but it should be.
It really should be.
It really should be. It's for the love of food. It's not the first series. We're actually on the second series
We're
of
on
the
the
show.
second series, and actually we're going to be filming a Ramadan series as well, which is separate from the one that we're doing at the moment. The one that's showing at the moment is an ongoing one. So in between trials, when I get a chance, I film. So it's an ongoing thing in terms of the existing series,
Right.
where we we explore all the halal restaurants in and around London, far off places, and we rate them on. Well, I rate them on the food and the ambience. I love it. It's the princess job.
It is a princess
It is
job.
lovely. It is lovely. Although last episode or so, I was asked to eat brains, lamb's brains. I found that really, really hard. I did find it hard, but I overcame my anxiety, tasted it. Enjoyed it, but I probably wouldn't have it again. But you do have to sometimes eat stuff that you wouldn't normally let yourself past your lips. But that's just a very small part of it. Most of it is absolutely lovely. The hosts have all gone out of their way because they know that it's great advertising for them, and the food is
You're just
from
saying
all over the world.
You're just saying it how it is, aren't you? You're just revealing everything.
We don't understand, and I don't think we know how diverse halal cuisine. The availability of halal food is everywhere, and it's all different cuisines. And I think you really have to investigate it for yourself to know that we have such a wealth of opportunity in terms of tasting different foods from all over the world.
It was a struggle a good 10 years ago to actually find food or find places that you could go and eat at that were halal. So it's wonderful you're kind of educating the viewers, taking them on this culinary journey with you,
yes.
And now you're moving on to the special Ramadan series. Now on the show this morning you're going to be giving us some Ramadan recipes, inshallah.
And it's all going to be mostly about healthy eating though, because I think the days are long. We've had a few years of this now where people do struggle, they become very dehydrated, they're not eating stuff that really sustains them for the whole day, and it's not about eating heavy food, it's about eating slow release food, and it's about educating yourself in that respect to make these long days seem a lot easier than what they should be. So, of course, when you go to the Middle East, the days are so much shorter. People are off. It's holiday all month round, so they're sleeping for most of it, which is wonderful. And in those countries, it is so much easier. But, of course, we've got responsibilities here. We have to work.
Of course.
So it is about keeping ourselves alert for that month where we can go on about our daily day without really feeling the effect of it. Absolutely.
So we're going to be finding out a little later, very shortly actually, not too late, on some recipes that you would suggest to kind of enable the energy levels to kind of cross through those long working days in Ramadan. Also in the studio, we're joined by the very delightful Arusa Raza, who is on the show once again. It's an absolute pleasure to have you join us this morning, Arusa. Now, listening to Shanaz talking about foods that she's had to taste, has there been a dish that you've been quite adventurous and tried, but thought never again?
I like most food. So I'll usually try a lot of different things. I think, as you were saying, I think it's really good that there's a lot more halal food out there these days. And I think, especially, I think with social media, it's easy to find where those restaurants are. You can also see if the quality of food is good as well. So there's a few Instagram pages that I follow. So if I'm out with my friends and we're deciding where we want to go, what type of food we want to eat, we'll just look and be like, this is halal, this is nice. Funnily enough, though, I did do that once and I ended up regretting it. So I read a review on a halal blog about this restaurant. The food looked really nice, so I went with my friends, and I actually didn't end up finishing the food. And funnily enough, the very next day a new review came out by the same blog that said the food had actually gone down in quality.
Oh my goodness.
So I was like, if only it was the day before, I wouldn't have wasted it.
That's why she needs to watch my series.
Yeah, I will be doing that now.
So are you quite intrigued by Shanaz's series? Do you think you'll be following that now?
Definitely, yes. Especially
You mean you're not ready?
Shanaz, when is this series on?
So the current series comes on. It differs in time. It's usually Saturday morning. The other day it started at 9:40. Sometimes it's at 10:30. So just make sure that you look on the guide to see what time it's starting.
Or just don't move away from the screen.
No. Just wait for me the whole week. I wish.
And what channel is this?
And this is on Islam Channel. So if you're if you have Sky, then it's 727. Virgin is 838. Yes, it's a really good show. I really enjoyed doing it.
It is, and I have watched it, and I've really enjoyed it. And it's always, and your presence on screen is always fabulous. And the food, yes, obviously, I'm watching the food too. Arusa, the question I asked, there were two things I asked, was basically. Stonehenge, everybody knows of what Stonehenge is. It's a monumental site with lots of history. But I was asking everybody, do they know who actually built it? There's been a lot of mystery surrounding this, and there's always been a lot of curiosity. Exactly what is it? What's it there for? Any guesses?
I heard Turkish being said.
She heard. Well, you're right.
I can't claim the answer myself. I did hear it, yeah.
So DNA has suggested that there is some historical link with some Turkish migrants that came over and brought it across to Britain very, very, very many years ago. Teeks, I want to ask you your thoughts on that. Was that a surprise to you when you heard the Turkish connection?
But yeah, I mean, I'm actually quite surprised about that. Although they would have been classified as Turkish at the time, and probably a different empire. But this country's been invaded so many times, so it doesn't really shock me anymore. So yeah, I mean,
because what it's saying is the DNA reveals origin of the builders. So they didn't bring it across. It was the origin of the builders, and that's where the connection is.
So they've looked at the DNA of the skeletons that they found of the people
surrounded in that area.
But how did they determine that they were from Turkey?
Well, I will read through the whole article, or I can post it on the Facebook site.
I'm just intrigued. This is 5,000 years ago.
It is. It's they were the early farmers that migrated, and they travelled across the west, across the Mediterranean. So they were part of the Neolithic Britons of that time that were descended from groups who took that Mediterranean route, so that settled in that area. And this is where the researchers analysed the DNA of those early British farmers, and then they found them mostly resembled closely to the Neolithic people from Liberia, modern Spain and Portugal, and then Turkey as well.
Oh my goodness.
What was the guys were thinking? Oh, look at this horrible hot weather. I know, we'll go somewhere where it just rains all the time, and it's really cloudy.
The food is bland.
Yeah, let's go over there and let's build this stone thing. What were they thinking?
Well, you know what? That's history for you. So that was a little bit of a history lesson there. Now, moving on, what I want to talk more so about is the topic of today's show is cashless society, guys. Cashless society. Could you try living in a society that is cashless? Would it work for you? So that everything based around cards, online payments and banking has to be now cashless. So none of the online is going to be, you're not going to be accessing that. You're not going to be using your cards. Could you live like that? Arusa, starting off with yourself, is because I think Shanaz and I come from a generation where we did work with cash only. Well, our mothers did anyway. Yeah. But could you do that, do you think? Could you go a week without using your online banking or transactions?
Oh no, I don't think I could.
Could you not?
No, I don't think I could. I think I like online shopping a lot. I'd find it quite difficult. I probably online shop more than I should, but yeah, no, I think I'd find it difficult not to kind of have that available to me, buy whenever I want, kind of have those funds. So yeah, I don't think I could.
What about you, Teekster? Could you?
Oh, are we saying we're waking up one day and then money's wiped?
No. You're not allowed to access your Visa card. You're not going to shop with your Visa card. You're not going to shop online.
Oh, cash in hand.
It's just cash in hand.
Oh, cash is king, isn't it? I mean, if we're going to go that, I'd rather go down to carrying bags of gold around, gold coins to make sure you got exactly what you want.
Do you know what? I've actually read this incorrectly. Because a cashless society is one that you don't have cash, you only online
cashless society.
I could live in a cashless society.
Cashless society is digital currency.
Yes.
So Sweden apparently is going to be the first ones to adopt banknotes. They were the first ones to adopt banknotes in the European society. They're going to be introducing their own digital currency in 2021, and they'll be the world's first cashless society in 2023.
So now that
according
is,
to what I'm reading.
I do apologise. I turned it around. I'm going to bring it back again. So could you live in a society that is only using online and Visa
Basically
cards?
digital.
Digital life.
I think
that's what it is.
To be honest, it's really, we're at that stage anyway. And I, as even though I work in the digital world, I'm the biggest technophobe in the world. I hate computers. I hate there's going to be more room for corruption, more room for fraud. I mean, for example, I once had to pay something and it was like £1,000, and I just pulled out a card and there it went. But then one day that I went to this mechanic, he wanted cash in hand. I was like, okay, as they do. So I pulled out, was it 300 quid? And I was like, ooh, was that holding that money in my hand? I was like, wow, 300 quid, that's a lot of money.
When you're looking at it visually, it makes you feel like that's a lot of money.
And I just burnt £1,000 by electronically, and I didn't even think. And to be honest, it's just going to cause more debt, more problems.
And that's the key thing.
But the thing
debt.
is, it's easy. You just don't think about it. I mean, before I used to like have money on me, and I used to be really strict. Like, that's my budget for the week. When that cash goes, I'll wait till next week. Now with this tapping thing, you're like just tapping. People come up to you, tap, and you're burning You're burning money. You don't even realise it. So I just think it's all negative. But because it's easy, it's more flexible. People are going to go down that route, and we are going to go down that route. Unfortunately, for better or for worse.
But I think also that in terms of fraud, I mean, how many businesses do you go to where they only accept cash? Or you'll go and they'll say, oh, you know, our card machine has broken today.
But they're doing off the books kind of like stuff.
Yeah, so that stops them from doing that, which is a good thing.
See, Arisa, you're somebody that's only known this, I'm assuming, whereas like our experience is slightly different because we've come from a generation that where we did have cash in hand and we worked with checkbooks. Do you still own a check? Does anybody own a checkbook?
No, I think
No, I do.
You do?
Yes, I still write checks.
But not many places accept them.
What about you, Arisa? Do you have a checkbook?
I don't have a checkbook.
Do you know what a checkbook is?
No, I do. Yeah, I think I had one like years ago, but I've never used it. No.
Because the new thing now is you don't need to sign anything. It's going to be a thumbprint.
Oh, that's just
like
bad.
So no signing, no PIN code. It's a thumbprint.
I can see identity theft going through the roof.
It is crazy because we're not able to manage our money.
Imagine if you were one of these mobsters. You like, let's chop off his finger. I'm being serious. That's not a joke.
Okay, let's not put ideas in people's heads.
No, but I literally did burn my thumb in the oven the other day.
And that's it. You can't access your money now.
And I couldn't access my bank account.
Wow.
Because it's on the mobile. It's what do you call it? Thumbprint recognition. And I couldn't access it because I had burnt the skin off my
It is,
and it was so swollen. So there are inconveniences to it.
Exactly.
I've forgotten my password.
But I also do think there are some positives as well, I think, to it, because I think if you don't have cash on you, if you don't have change on you, and you need to get a taxi, you could just get an Uber. It goes straight out of your bank. You don't have to worry if you're in a situation. You just tap. And you can track your car, you know where it is, you have identity verification, you know who your driver is. So I think there are some positives as well to having sort of that kind of system in place as well. It's easier.
It is definitely easier.
Easy.
Too easy.
Too easy.
Too easy. But are you able to budget and balance your books? Do you stick to your like limit of spending, or do you just not care? Are you quite frivolous?
I don't. To be honest, I think most of my money goes on food.
Okay.
So I think I find that quite easy to kind of manage. It's usually if I'm out with my friends. I tend to spend more on food more than anything else. But I think it's actually a positive as well, because if you do online banking, you can see when your money comes in, when your money goes out. You kind of have more of an idea of how your spending is going, as opposed to having to go to an ATM, put your card in, get a bank statement, and then be like, oh, okay, I actually went a bit over.
I was really quite taken aback by a drive-through that allows you to, like, it's an ATM drive-through, and we have one in Luton.
Do it?
Did you? Yeah,
No.
it's a new bank that's open. That's an ATM drive-through. I've had, like we've got our fast food takeaway drive-throughs.
Is it
We've
the
got
one
our
in
coffee,
town? Yeah, I think I've
coffee
seen it.
drive-throughs now, and now it's an ATM like drive-through. Like, how convenient has life become?
I know, the fact that you don't have to leave the seat of your car.
Oh my goodness!
It's bad. I mean, I can remember this being the system in America as well when we frequently visited, and I just thought, I need to get out. I need to walk. And even in Dubai, it's just become so lazy.
Have you
Why
guys
do we
seen
need to do
WALL-E?
that?
The
No.
Pixar movie.
No.
Oh, you should guys watch it. It's basically based on the future where it's about this robot, but when you look at the humans, all they do is sit in chairs all day and become fat.
This is it.
And everything's just autonomized and robotic, and they don't do anything. And that's how I see the future.
But that's it. That's the present, actually. I mean, I look
I'm
at
not
our
even
kids
sure.
and it's ridiculous. The weather is so lovely, and I'll bet that so many of our kids are just sat indoors
But then
playing on their games.
I never had a PlayStation 4 when I was a kid, and I can tell you now, I'd trade that for going outside.
So any trade going on this morning on that? Now this brings me to my next question, because we're talking about jobs and the type of jobs now. What are they going to be available in the next 10 years? Now, with everything being so automated, so machine driven, what sort of jobs do you think will still exist in the next 10 years?
I think definitely engineering jobs. I think jobs in technology, AI especially. I think it's a growing industry, and I think there's a lot of research going on, a lot of development going on, and I think there's a lot of demand for young talent, especially to kind of drive that forward. So I think technology is a real focus, and I think engineering will always kind of be in demand, because we need engineers for creation of whether it's civil engineering, mechanical engineering, whether it's electrical engineering. So I think that's an area that will always be kind of much needed.
And you work in the higher education sector. Are you seeing a particular popularity in certain types of career courses that young people are venturing?
So yeah, I think business and technology-based subjects are always quite popular. I think the combination of the two. So I think it's really important to have sort of the theatrical aspect, but I think also practical work as well as the focus on employability. I think kind of having the theory, the practical, but then also equipping young people with kind of thinking about what they are going to do next, looking at the job market, kind of analysing it and seeing, well, where could my career possibly go? And I think that earlier, I think even before university, I think if we start having those conversations with young people, then by the time they reach that stage, they kind of have more of an idea about where they would like their career to head, as opposed to waiting until like graduation and then what do I want to do with my life?
Of course. And so what Shanaz is involved in is like Women Connecting Women. It's an organisation that is solely to empower and engage and inspire women and share their transferable skills. Is this something that you want to see more of? Is there a need for an organisation like this in Luton, or not just Luton but nationally?
Definitely, I definitely think so. I think if you look at some of the statistics as well about in certain industries, the level of engagement from young women, the amount of young professional women in those industries, it's incredibly low. So I think I read there was something about less than 30% of women were in engineering roles, were in STEM roles, were IT professionals. So I think if we start addressing that, engaging more with women and kind of supporting one another and creating that network where we can share resources, knowledge, as well as just empower each other in different ways, I think is really, really crucial.
Going over to Teekster, now creativity is obviously your specialism, and it's something that you've really, really nurtured, so much so that you've won awards for this, engaging from grassroots level to sort of professional level. What I wanted to ask you is, there seems to be, the academic curriculum seems to be sort of slicing away artistic subjects, unfortunately. And how does that make you feel as a creative, and the skill set that young people are not being able to kind of now experience?
I think it's kind of unfortunate because I remember a quote by David Bowie, and he said basically the arts is when he was little, the arts was for the urban kids, especially music, visual arts, and so on and so on. They were like for the people, and there was like loads of activities because because they couldn't go to universities, they couldn't go to prestigious schools. So the creative area or the creative school was the school of the people. And now all of them, and he said as he's grown up, they've all been abolished, and now it's gone back to an elitist thing that the arts is only available if you're from the right family background.
And if you can afford it.
And if you can afford it. So that in kind of like area has almost been destroyed, and that's why you see a lot of grassroots kind of like events and shows and happening, because they're kind of like the minorities, the underprivileged, kind of like take arts back to where they belong, to the people. This is why mural art is so popular, because murals are basically designed by the people, for the people, and it's that community engagement. I mean, this project that Tara do with the Luton children is that to empower, use art as not as an educational tool, but also as an empowerment tool. And I just kind of like think it's kind of like sad that governments and organisations are slashing, creative funding and subjects, because they kind of believe it's no longer a necessity. But in this day and age, arts is probably one of the most important areas to invest in. For example, even from a scholarly perspective, a scholar can talk and talk and talk, but if the guy has no faith or no basis, they can just eject those thoughts straight away and say, look, I don't believe what you say, go away. But then if you show them something creative, something beautiful, then you're like, oh, hang on, for that small second, you can actually change or move that person inside of them.
Thinking a different perspective.
Exactly. And that's where the engagement or conversation can actually start. Because at the end of the day, talk is cheap. It's people, now as we live in a visual society, it's all about image. And so if you have that product at the forefront, then, you got a start of a conversation there.
So I completely agree with what you're saying. I do think there solutions to problems, business or scientific. A creative outlet is also necessary.
It's really important. I mean, I have to agree with you where we see children that I've represented that can't articulate themselves except for in art, and a lot of them at school and in other projects that are going around where they have been abused in some sort of way. They're encouraged to take part in art therapy, and what comes across is so visually inspiring.
Wow.
Because they're speaking on paper but from the heart and from their own experiences, and some of those drawings just say everything that is there and everything that they've experienced, good and bad, but it's all there. And because it's from the heart, you look at it and the more you look at it, the more it's talking to you. And they're given also the option of writing a letter to the judge, and that doesn't mean anything compared to what they've actually drawn. And that's always been part of my submissions, actually, is to show the judge the art that they have done, because that speaks a million words. It really tells a completely different story, because as you say, they're not able to necessarily articulate themselves in a voice, in words, because they can't express themselves. But how they do it on paper is phenomenal, and that needs to be encouraged a lot more. I absolutely agree with you. I don't think that
if it's been cut out of the schooling system, then who should be taking responsibility as a parent?
And this is the problem. There's some things that just shouldn't be cut out of the schooling system. And the other problem that we have in our society, I think also very, very quickly, is the parents that don't encourage it because they don't think it's a vocation that their children... It definitely should be a vocation. And Teeks, people like you, honestly, promote yourselves as much as possible, because I think it's inspiring and it's wonderful, and there is so much there is so much talent out there. Absolutely.
And this is a talent that the Urban Cube always has a platform for. Now, folks, we're heading off to a break. It's 11:25. After the break, inshallah, we'll be having more great conversations with Teeksta, Arusa and Shanaz. And the question I ask you guys is, could a cashless society work for you? So everything based around cards, online payment, banking. Okay, so a digital digital banking. Can that work for you? Contact us on 07779 481822. Heading off to a break, and after the break, more creative conversations about everything and anything on the Urban Cube. Assalamu alaikum.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Catch a creative vibe on the Urban Cube with Sister Shamaisa.
Good morning and assalamu alaikum. 11:30, the final half an hour of the Urban Cube this morning, and I am not alone in the studio. I'm in great company. I have three absolutely awesome guests keeping us entertained and inspired this morning with their creative conversations and their view on current trending stories as well. If you want to catch the conversation that's been had, then you can catch us on 8 p.m. this evening on the repeat of the show. We're going live and direct to Luton surrounding areas, Peterborough, Sheffield this morning, as well as Facebook Live. They are still in the studio, people. And we'd like you guys to join in with any of the conversations that are being had this morning. We are talking cashless society. Could a cashless society work for you? So everything based around cards, online payments, banking. So no cash in hand. Everything is online, so it's a digital society. Could that work for you guys? Plus, we're also asking you this morning, what sort of jobs can you not see happening in the next 10 years? What sort of jobs will disappear in the next 10 years? In the studio with me this morning, guys, I am joined by multi-award winning artist Teekster. He's sharing his upcoming project, which is actually based in the heart of Luton. He is with me this morning, and we're finding out a little bit more about what this project is, inshallah. Plus, we are joined by the very awesome activist and published poet Arusa Raza, and we also have the very awesome Shanaz Ayub. She's a TV presenter of the popular cooking series For the Love of Food. She is in the studio with me this morning, not just talking to me about food, but also the upcoming WCW event, which is focusing on mental health. So, assalamu alaikum, everybody. Shanaz, thank you for staying with me in the studio this morning. And how are you?
I'm awake now. It's 11:32. I should hope so.
I hope so.
I'm very well, thank you. Shamaisa, thank you so much for having me on. It's a real privilege to be here, as always.
Bless you. Thank you so very much.
Can I give my sister-in-law a shout out?
Of course you can.
Farzana, I know you're listening, and my very good friend Rachel Collier as well, who's listening from her garden. Good morning, Rachel.
Good morning to you, wonderful women. I hope you're actually having a restful bank holiday morning, and we are delighted that we are keeping you guys company. Also in the studio we have Arusa. Arusa, is anybody you want to say good morning to?
Hi, Mum.
And Mum is where?
Mum's in Pakistan at the moment.
Mashallah, and she's been watching with the family.
Yes, she has. I haven't received any more texts, so I'll assume that she's looking at the screen in great concentration.
Wonderful. It's an absolute pleasure knowing that they're watching us from across the world this morning. Teekster, thank you so much for joining me. You're a regular on the show, always inspiring us with your creative journey. This morning you're going to be sharing with us a project that you're doing, which is based in Luton. How are you feeling about that? Is this the first time you're working in Luton?
This is probably no. Actually, yes, it is the first Luton project that I'm going to be doing with the youth here. So it's quite exciting. I have worked with other young people before, so it's always good to get the engagement. They're always like when someone says art project, because there's a lack of it around, they always get excited. I'm just hoping that no one eats any of the paint or anything, and then
Eats the paint?
You'll be surprised what happens in these workshops.
What's going on? Okay.
If it's during Ramadan, there's always a possibility.
Tell us how people can get involved with this project, when it's happening, and your contact details.
They can find about more details on my website or social media, which is www.teekster.co.uk. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter, and it's going to be happening this Thursday in the Borough Park area.
Fantastic.
So I'm looking forward to it.
And Borough Park area this Thursday, the event is happening. Now, if there's anybody that wants to get in contact with you, you've mentioned your website, which is www.teekster.co.uk. and your email and everything is on there.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, fantastic. Now, this morning we have been talking about the benefits of arts and creativity in helping young people, or just generally society in itself, kind of develop like thought processes and outputs for problem solving. Thank you very much for Shazia this morning, who's been in touch, who's been watching the show as well. Shazia Afzal, she says she has seen an increase in years that arts holistic therapies are on the rise. So even though they've been slashed over the years, they've been recognised currently and are on the rise. More people need to come together and raise the importance on these subjects. It's sometimes the only way for many to express themselves. And this kind of fits in very nicely to what you've said, Shanaz, as well, about the children that you have been supporting as a solicitor in the cases that you've dealt with.
And actually, going on from what Shazia, in case people didn't listen last week, Shazia appeared on your show promoting the WC, the Women Connecting Women organisation that we've started. And Shazia is actually director of Healthy Minds in Luton, a very, very worthwhile organisation. Yeah. And they will be giving, members of that organisation will be coming on the 3rd of May to Crescent Hall from 6 o'clock onwards to give free seminars on mental health issues that are prevalent in this society and will be useful to hear for anyone.
That's Women Connecting Women and Healthy Minds, two really awesome charities that are really making a difference in not just the lives of women, but just generally society as well.
The other thing that I just wanted to say very quickly, that we hear so much about mental health nowadays in the Western society, and it's really been brought to everyone's attention, I would say, in the last couple of years. And of course, the Fab Four of the royal family have come forward with their organisation as well, and it's really being brought to the forefront of the Western society. And this is in the Western society, so we're talking about maybe the Asian society where this sort of subject is somewhat taboo, and we need to bring it now to the forefront of people's minds and be able to talk about it very openly and not feel that if you do, you're shaming the family, you're shaming yourself. There is that stigma attached, isn't there, that we can't say that there's anything wrong with us, and there isn't anything wrong with you. The important message is that you're not alone.
And this is what we want to kind of have this platform in doing so, is to, if you are listening and you do need somebody to talk to, please get in touch with Inspire FM. We are a radio station that is all about the community. I want to be here supporting you in whatever that journey is, inshallah. Arusa, thank you so much for joining the studio this morning. And you're somebody that is working in the higher education sector. And as a young woman working in the higher education sector, are you seeing enough support for young people entering this field of university? Because there's been an increase in the levels of number of young people actually committing suicide or being impacted by mental health in their journey at university.
So I think just reading the stories online, you find out a lot about the struggles that a lot of young people go through when they do go to university. I think especially those from perhaps minority communities, there's perhaps not enough support available, or perhaps they aren't as aware of the support that's available to them. I think at times as well it might be a bit of a culture shock as well. So for example, I think one of the things I found when I went to university was, I remember my very first night at university, they got everyone in the whole flats on the floor to come outside and sit around in a circle to kind of introduce themselves, and then everyone had to put up their hands who didn't drink. I was the only one that put my hand up, and then everyone started playing drinking games, and I was kind of had to sit at the side. And I think so there is that thing where you might feel a bit excluded when it comes to certain things. So I think it's definitely about knowing the support that's available to you, having a strong friendship group, having a strong support system, and definitely knowing that you're not alone on that journey, and you're not defined by the struggles you go through. It doesn't make you weak, and just to speak up and ask for help if you need it.
And that's the key thing, isn't it? Being able to speak up and knowing that there is a circle around you that's willing to listen as well. Teekster, you're a young man, and we've been talking to these remarkable women about women and mental health, but mental health is also impacting men too. How do you, or how are men provided the support around mental health, in particular Muslim men?
To be honest, like they said earlier, it's like a taboo subject. I think there's like a kind of like, how do I say it? It's kind of perceived that men should, like, if they've got any mental health issues, just to shut up and put up with it and be a man about it and not discuss it. I think, and even there's lack of charity. It's only until recently when they realised there's more high suicide rates in men than actually in women. And it's just, recently there's actually places and charities that are actually now looking into this. But before it was a case of just shut up and deal with it. And unfortunately that's how it's always perceived. It's like,
and that's the worst thing.
Yeah, they're almost saying that if you have mental, it's actually kind of like
your problem and deal with it.
Unfortunately, but I think recently there's a lot more helpful kind of like, men with these type of issues. I think previously they were just kind of like just hiding it away and just keeping to themselves. So it's kind of unfortunate.
And I'm so glad that we're able to now equally talk about mental health for men and women, but also children are being impacted by this too,
It's
which
huge
is
for children.
Which is so worrying.
It's this whole social media society that we're in at the moment. It's really worrying. I know that I would not want to be a teenager now in this society. The peer pressure is absolutely enormous, and it's really worrying. And I think as parents, we have a responsibility to know exactly what our children are watching, to enforce that parental control, which I don't think a lot of parents do.
Because they don't know how to do it, I think.
There's a degree of that, and there's also a degree of, okay, if it's not broken, let's not fix it. If the children are quiet, leave them to it.
The problem is that each generation has new challenges, and then it's different from the past. Like, for example, like sometimes I talk to my father and realise there's a generation gap, for example, and there's no fault to either. It's just things change. Like now, if I told my father, like, oh, I'm going to be a YouTube star, he's just going to look at me and like, what? But if my son said that, I'd be like, okay, what's your business plan? What are you going to talk about? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I can see it as a possible vibe. And then there's other like things which, like my dad, he's like, when I was little, he's just, oh, you can just go to an office and say, look, I'm hardworking, just give me a shot and I can, do something for you. And that was his generation. You need everything. You need to be CV, bank details, everything needs to be electronic. That you can't just go into like Marks and Spencer's and just, say, give me a job anymore. Everything's so selected. So each generation will have new things. I'm sure when I become a father, there'll be like things where I won't understand and I'm missing that. And already sometimes I'm like looking at YouTube and I'm thinking, how the heck is this going on?
But it seems to be the level of needs and wants of children and desires of what success means has really changed, because traditionally the heroes were the firemen or the policemen, and now it is YouTube stars, and that's what every child wants to grow up to be, not a footballer but a YouTube star. Arusa, in higher education, do you relate to any of these conversations that are being had, and do you think young people are under a lot of pressure because of social media and the desire of success through Facebook likes or social media likes?
I've not come across anyone that wants to be a YouTuber. I think other people that I've met are perhaps want to be like influencers.
Is that the new word?
Yeah, influencers, Instagram, get sponsorships. Okay. I think that's something that I'm very wary of as well when I go online, especially on Instagram, is if somebody's promoting a product, if they're recommending it, I always try and scroll down and see whether it's an ad in their caption. I think young people need to be very wary of kind of the messages that they're getting and kind of look at who's promoting certain products, certain items, whether they're benefiting from it and whether it's beneficial for the young people. So I know, for instance, the Kardashians, for example, they have a huge global reach, but they promote diet supplement products and they promote hair products that, like pills for hair and makes your hair grow and shiny and whatever. But I think it's you can understand why people do it because they make money from it, but then I think there is also the ethical side of it in which that we know that you don't use these products. We know that you have makeup teams. We know that you have hairstylists. We know you have fancy cameras. We know that it's a constructed image that you're putting up of yourselves, and that's not necessarily always clear for young people to see. So they buy into that lifestyle. They see that as an aspiration, and that creates a pressure that we have to live up to that. That's my goal. That's what I want to get to. But they don't always see behind the scenes. I think one of the things that came out recently was Beyonce's Netflix documentary about her Coachella performance, and I really enjoyed that. I'm a huge Beyonce fan anyway, but I really enjoyed the honesty that she had in terms of how she created that set, how she created that performance, how long it took her, how hard she worked, the struggle that she had, because often you just see a person, you see a brand, and you think, wow, they have it all. But I think that honesty is needed, that transparency is needed, I think, from public figures to an extent, so that young people know that it's not overnight success. And even if it is overnight success, it comes at a price.
And it is a dangerous price, unfortunately, where we are seeing loss of lives of young people.
Yeah.
I mean, I read an article with an 11-year-old who's basically committed suicide because of the pressures of social media, which is horrific for a parent
so common
to read. And the fact that you're saying, Shanaz, this is really common is really, really worrying. But I always feel that coming back to faith, coming back to the basics of our faith, gives me a level of balance in my life as well. And Ramadan, I think, is going to be quite a wonderful, wonderful space of reflection and reward, and inshallah spiritual enlightenment and connecting back to simplicity of life, which I think is a really, really, it's a beautiful blessing. Coming back to Shanaz and food, because we are nearly heading to the end of the show, and I wanted to get your expert advice on some awesome Ramadan recipes.
Well, let's just start off with talking about the holy month of Ramadan and the fact that it's time to practice that self-control. This is what Ramadan is all about. And for those listeners out there that aren't Muslims, this is to educate you as well. What is Ramadan all about? It's not a group of people that are just starving themselves because they feel like it. It's a practice of self-control. It's self-discipline. It's sacrifice. But most importantly, it's empathy for the less fortunate. To know what it's like to go without food is really a very humbling experience. And it's to maintain these practices, even outside of the fasting hours, to discipline your bodies. Here's me talking about disciplining my body. So what's important during Ramadan is to hydrate yourself. Drink plenty of water between the iftar and the suhoor, so that's between sunrise and sunset, for those that don't know. We're going to be experiencing high temperatures next month during Ramadan, so we're going to be sweating more or perspiring more. So it's important to drink fluids to replace the ones that you lose during the day. You must drink at least 10 glasses, not all in one go, because you will feel like and look like a barrel. You have to do this over a period of time. So it's a question of self-disciplining, getting up a little bit earlier so that you can pace yourself. You can also increase your water intake by eating hydrating foods. And what are hydrating foods? Things like, for example, watermelon to your sahari meal, that's the first meal before sunrise, or eat it as a sweet treat after iftar, after you've broken your fast. Fattoush salad. Do you know what fattoush salad is? The Arabic salad. It contains plenty of hydrating cucumbers, tomatoes. So it doesn't have to be a fattoush salad, but anything like a tabbouleh, for example, that's got a lot of hydrating elements in, as I said, like cucumber and tomato. Avoid drinks with caffeine in, such as coffee, tea, cola, because the caffeine can make some people urinate more often, which may lead to ultimate dehydration. So also remember that fizzy drinks with sugar will add calories to your diet as well. So if you're looking at the first morning meal, then think about what you're going to have. Wholesome meal, providing you with enough energy to last you through the day. So you have to choose the right foods. Eat complex carbohydrates such as fruits and vegetables, beans, chickpeas, slow releasing, and lentils as well. They'll give you a long-lasting source of energy throughout the day, and include the low-fat dairy products as well, such as the low-fat yogurts with your meal, and try to incorporate healthy unsaturated fats like avocado, unsalted nuts, salmon. Salmon is a lovely source of protein, and again, low fat and healthy unsaturated fats that it involves as well. Olives and olive oil. Cook with olive oil, guys. Nothing else will do. And then you have to replenish your energy levels as well. So fiber incorporated plenty in vegetables. they've got their vital vitamins and nutrients. Use your whole grains for your body. Again, chicken, fish. If you're not a meat eater, then go for those other products that I've mentioned already. So if you're looking at the morning meal and you want to sustain yourself for the whole day, then look at oatmeal with the low-fat yogurt, an oatmeal smoothie with a low-fat yogurt made with fresh fruit. So you've got your low-fat yogurt, you've got your fresh fruit, make that into a smoothie and then mix that with the oatmeal. That's a really, really good way to start your day. Lentil soup with chopped carrot, celery and onion, and you can add whatever spices you want to that. Really tasty, again, will sustain you for the whole day. And zucchini, so you've got your courgettes and you make a yogurt dip with that as well, and lots of fresh vegetables. It doesn't sound as exciting as having paratha and omelette in the morning, but those are the foods that you have to avoid. There's a myth about the fact that if you have a full meal like that first thing in the morning, that it's going to sustain you for the day. It won't. It contains too much salt. It's going to make you feel really, really thirsty, and it's not going to be good for you at all. Apart from anything else, if you're looking to lose weight and replenish your body, you're doing just the opposite because you're confusing your whole system.
And it's breaking that relationship with fried food and Burante and Ramadan, because that's what we were all brought up with. And it's kind of like, it reminds you of like childhood memories, Ramadan, getting together with your family. And
it's not. And this is the thing. And when we break our fast, what do we think about? Samosas and
yes.
Guys, we need to stop that. There are lovely alternatives. I mean, you don't traditionally you have to break your fast with 3 dates.
Yes.
Break your fast with 3 dates, have your water, do your namaz, come back and eat a sensible meal. And one thing we had in Santorini was the fish. And since I've come back, all we've been having is this. Go to your supermarket, get whole sea bream, grill it with garlic and herbs and butter, and have it with a fresh salad. And you can have a few, grilled jacket potato or even some, oven-baked chips as well, and it is the most satisfying meal that you'll ever have.
Can you not just come and stay with us and just do like a round to everybody's house in the morning and in the evening? That would be absolutely wonderful. Shanaz, you've given us some amazing tips, and I'm sure your Ramadan series is going to be full bursting with flavour and great
I'm actually
recipes.
Quite excited about it.
And when can we see that?
We're in the process of deciding on the dates that we're going to start filming. So with Islam Channel, it is fly by the seat of your pants, but it is very, very exciting. So I suspect that it will start when Ramadan starts in a couple of weeks' time.
Inshallah,
so we'll be going to all the local places, promoting them, tasting the food, and having a lot of fun.
Are you coming to Luton by any chance? Will you ever come to Luton to film?
Do you know, because they're based around that area, of course we'll come to Luton, of course we'll promote the businesses here. We've got such a fabulous community and we do need to promote it more. We need to bring people together. That's what it's all about. I mean, we have, the Asian mayoress who's done such a fabulous job of bringing the community together as well. We have a wonderful community here. And I remember actually during Ramadan last year where all the Jewish rabbis, the Christian priests as well, and the Muslim mullahs were all getting together and breaking fast, breaking bread together. That's what it's all about.
That is. It's the togetherness and the harmony that we encapsulate on this show as well, mashallah. Teekster, listening to some of those recipes, are you going to be sticking with Burante and samosas across Ramadan? Are you going to let it go?
You're talking to the wrong person, because I'm not going to lie. I think you should have a treat now and again, but I think the sunnah of the actual Ramadan fast is actually have a low calorie kind of like break. So and plus, you know what I really hate is this is a big diss to all the mothers out there, because they're getting lazy and they're actually buying Hamza products, which is even worse than actually the pre-made samosas. Not even the natural stuff. At least you could argue if they made the homemade samosas are like, these are the natural ingredients. Now everybody's just going to freezer cabinet and buying them. But me, I kind of stick to
freshly made. None of this frozen stuff.
You know what? We must stay away from processed and plus, as much as possible.
She said, I avoid not drinking water. I tend to drink milk, because not only that's better for hydration, because the problem with water is that the body will only use what it needs and gets rid of it. With milk, your body retains that longer and uses it. So, and plus eating fruits and vegetables rich in water will help towards hydration as well. So I actually be really, really smart, but I am going to eat my omelets because I need my source of protein. But most of that...
You're ready. You are ready for this.
Oh, man, I could write a encyclopedia on what to do.
It sounds like it. But I have to say, you know, a lot of the mums, I think it should be equal effort in the kitchen. Mums and dads. Mums are working twice as hard across Ramadan as well, trying to feed and keep the family motivated and up and praying and so forth.
You know what?
So you've got to
give a great time for family activities, for everybody chipping in and stuff.
Definitely.
I think young people as well, definitely.
And Arisa, quickly, anything that you're going to be trying or avoiding? Are you a brown and samosa girl?
Oh, 100%. I'm not giving those up, sorry. I can't give up my samosa. Maybe next year, but not this year.
I love samosa. I actually
hypocrites.
I know. But as you said, the occasional treat.
Could be a chocolate samosa because I saw one in the local Luton market.
Really?
Oh, they're not
yes,
nice.
they're a
I've
chocolate.
had one.
No?
I didn't like it, no. I'd avoid
okay.
that.
I
Oh,
will
with
not-
marshmallow.
Oh, right. Okay, dokie, folks. It is the end of the show. It's been an absolute pleasure having you guys join us this morning. Thank you so very much for keeping us entertained and inspired. Have a beautiful Ramadan. It's only a week or so or 2 weeks away. And from us, it's a massive big assalamu alaikum. Have a wonderful week ahead. And don't forget to catch the repeat of the show this evening at 8 p.m. From me, assalamu alaikum, and keep smiling.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.